how would you rate the current and future career prospects for rehabilitation counsellors? What do we think as a panel?
Well, I'm really excited about the future of rehabilitation counselling, and I suppose being involved in the peak professional body, part of what we're doing is actually trying to engage with the federal government and the state governments to have a seat on the table. So when they're considering legislative changes to work cover or transport accident or compulsory third party or their policy on rehabilitation generally, we'd like to be there. So we're more and more pushing for that. But with the NDIS that's coming on stream, I think this whole thing I mentioned earlier about the budgetary change where they're going to look at people transitioning from DSP, which has been an ongoing thing, but that's actually that's obviously being targeted at the moment. So that's an exciting area for rehabilitation. But as I said earlier, because rehabilitation counselling lends itself to so many different areas, you don't necessarily have to be employed in the rehabilitation sector per se either. No. And that's what's good about it. My background is in psychology. In fact, I did my behavioural science degree here at Trobe University many, many years ago. So I've developed a specialisation in psychological injury. So stress claims, psychological injury, people who've got mental health conditions, assisting them make the transition to work and to normal life, and that's very rewarding. So you can choose your own, it's kind of the sky's the limit really, and there are opportunities evolving all the time. So it's a matter of, in a sense, having your ears on the ground and making sure that you're in the profession. And by being involved in the profession with ASORC, for example, you get some exposure to PDs, you network, you become a student member, you progress through the membership ranks through to associate, then to full. And that has those have advantages for you in terms of professionally, those different categories. And the idea is to, I suppose, improve your professional standing, have you network with people, continuous development. We've introduced this year CPD system, which we're launching in July. So we're really becoming a little bit more rigorous, and I guess in preparing us for the next move, which is really to kind of improve our profile nationally, and as I said earlier, to have a seat on the board or a seat at the table where the important decision making is made. So happens. So I'm really looking forward to and optimistic about the future for rehabilitation counselling.
Michael, you're saying career prospects are excellent, and the National Disability Insurance Scheme is likely to have a positive influence as well.
Sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
In what ways do you see that having an influence?
Well, I think because clients are going to have more say over their treatment, over their rehab, over what goals they set themselves, we can become involved. Rehabilitation counselling can actually be involved in that and offer services, whether it's on a contractual basis. I don't exactly know how the model is going to operate at this point, but there is going to be opportunities for people to tender or to offer their occupational rehab or rehabilitation services to the NDIS and to clients individually, and in a way to be able to then work with those clients to assist them and to rehabilitate them. Yeah.
And just finally, I'm just wondering, what advice would you have for someone who's interested in a career as a rehabilitation counsellor?
Advice.
Well, I would say to remain open-minded and curious and see where opportunity takes you. I started on a particular pathway myself, and I never think that that determines your future. So if you pick a place to start in terms of your career, it's perhaps the stepping stone to where you might be next. So I think that really it's entirely in your hands as to what your interests and motivations and passions are. If we work with our passions, then we're likely to remain engaged for longer.